I have a lot of faith in the women of Pakistan to come up and deliver for Pakistan. I hope you see that. I think we'll see that within the next few years.
And I look to the member just there.
It's very rocking. So, given our current political state of play, you have been part of this system for so long. How do you, touch upon the issue that we don't have genuine politicians, so to speak? We have feudal lords, we have industrialists playing part-time politicians. I mean, recent article of Hamid Mir, he compared the situation with bunch of bears protecting honey for us. So, what is your take on the political situation in Pakistan, given our political leadership, and how do you see the future of it? I mean, we compare ourselves to India in every aspect. How about this aspect, that they have genuine politicians and we have part-time politicians?
Sorry, can you say that again? We have what? We have
part-time politicians who are basically industrialists, businessmen who have their vested interests in policy making.
You see, the basic thing is politicians have accountability at the most every 5 years. Elections are the biggest way of accountability for politicians. Unfortunately, we have never had a fair election. We never had that accountability. So we've kind of fostered this culture of incompetence and corruption in our political system. And that needs to go away. There are many honorable people who've done their bit, who delivered, who worked hard. But at the end of the day, I mean, when Louis just asked me about a legacy, there's not much of a legacy, because after 36 years, look at the state of the country. If the country had prospered, that was a plus legacy for me. That was something, I delivered something. But I look back over 36 years, Pakistan was much better when I started out in 1988. So I think there's not much to write home about here.
Thanks. I just see that. I've got a quick question regarding sort of Pakistan's economic development. We've seen with Bangladesh, one of our fellow South Asian nations, who's had the sort of highest GDP growth, massive increases in their sort of indicators for development. Why do you believe that Pakistan hasn't been able to follow suit? And secondly, a quick question. No Pakistani Prime Minister has ever completed their full term in office. Why do you think this is? And do you think we'll see a Prime Minister complete one in the future? Thank you.
Yeah, I think part of the answer is right there. There's been no political stability. Bangladesh has had its issues. I leave you to judge the political leaders there. But they've had stability of politics, and they've had stability of policy. It's very critical. Investment comes to a place with a stability of policy. In Pakistan, we have investment coming in, a new government takes over, and they say, no, they were all corrupt and they all messed up, and we're going to change this policy. So you lose investment. And we've achieved up to 7% growth, but then we hit this barrier, which is the current account deficit, which is we don't have enough dollars to pay for that growth. So that's where actually Pakistan, I think, has failed. We've not been able to develop the export economy. That's what we need to do today. That's what the government has to. But again, it all goes back to the security situation in the country. If you're on a border we have a hot border with India, we have a war of 40 plus years in Afghanistan, we have Iran on one side, we have China on the north. So when the security situation is not good, then investment does not come in. But again, the stability of policy has been the real question on why the economy has not grown. And again, the failure of the political system and the bureaucratic system to understand the needs of a modern economy. Pakistan was the first country in the region, perhaps in Asia, to liberalize in 1990. The other countries followed suit. India followed suit. But we did not continue with that policy. So while they prospered, the other nations prospered, Pakistan did not. We just need the stability of policy, and we have to just push that through. That's the critical part of the whole equation.
Thank you. I look to the member just at the front here.
I'm very interested in your opinion on nuclear energy, given your focus on energy policy, and whether you think that's a realistic option for Pakistan, given its geopolitical situation, or whether it will ever be on the table for. Thank you.
On the energy issue, I think you need some more thoughts.
So your thoughts on nuclear energy? whether
On nuclear
that's-
energy.
That's a realistic option for Pakistan.
Nuclear was the solution at one time in the 60s and 70s, but then it became a bit unfashionable. People pulled away, and now nuclear is clean energy. Pakistan was one of the first countries in, I would say, Asia probably, to pursue nuclear. We had a small reactor in the 60s from Canada, and then another one, also Canadian. There were both BWRs, which were set up. So Pakistan had exposure to nuclear at that time. But then we pursued a nuclear weapon, and we got hit with sanctions. So today we have, we're limited to only working with either China or Canada, who were grandfathered under the sanctions. So Pakistan has put up 6 nuclear plants of varying sizes. And I think that's the way forward. And I think the world is realizing that nuclear is really the clean energy of the future. It's a very heavy capital investment, but that has also gone down. For example, the first plants we put up were about $7,000 a megawatt. $7 million a megawatt. They've now come down to literally $3 million a megawatt. The Russians have done very well. They have the technology today. China is putting up 60 large nuclear power plants. So people are investing heavily in nuclear. French are, they had gone big time with nuclear in the 70s and 80s, and they're reaping the benefits now. So nuclear is critical, and I just share an anecdote about I told you I'm from the aviation business. I ran the national airline and started a startup. So I deal with the manufacturers. So they have these meetings all the time. So I was at this meeting, and somebody mentioned, there's like 6, 7 people, and they said this one guy here who had his finger on the button. So, they all started looking at me, so I was kind of embarrassed. So then this lady who's a senior executive in one of the manufacturers, and she said, "So, Mr. Abbasi, how many people could you kill with a difficult question?" So, and she kept pursuing that, how many, tell me how many. So I gave her a figure, I kind of thought of a figure. And she's been like, whenever I meet her, she always narrates that story, So nuclear had its, a flip side also. But I think it'll be a big part of the world's energy equation in the future.
I just looked to the member at the back there.
Thank you for coming to the union today. I had a quick question. You said you have a lot of hope for the women in Pakistan and looking at the future. You mentioned that 80% of students who are enrolled in medical degrees right now are women, but we don't always see that translate into the medical profession in terms of doctors or technicians. Currently, Pakistan ranks 145 out of 146 according to the Gender Parity Index by the World Economic Forum. Why do you think that gap exists, and what steps can we take towards bridging it?
I think it's got more to do with the society and the culture. But I think that's changing. That's my opinion of things. Because the women have made it change through their hard work and their success in the academic on the academic side. And I think you see a lot more women in every aspect of business. We don't have any women CEOs, but we have CFOs today. We have people in the C-suite. I started an airline which is now 20 years old, and it is 70% women. We don't have too many women pilots or engineers at the moment, but it's the whole company is managed by a lady who lives in Manchester, and she's a Pakistani by birth. So I have a lot of faith in the women of Pakistan to come up and deliver for Pakistan. I hope you see that. I think we'll see that within the next few years.
I just look to the member there.
Thank you for coming to the Union, sir. So my question was, why Pakistan is still not that accessible to the whole world? I'm from Bangladesh. I will struggle a lot if I want to take a visa for Pakistan. When you were there as a prime minister, did you think of working more on global relation? Thank you.
Yes, I think you touched something very close to my heart. When I was Prime Minister, I had 3 personal ambitions, and I failed at all 3. And one of them was a visa. I wanted to abolish the visa for Pakistan. And I was unable to... we look at everything from a very security-driven mindset. So, and my argument was that Dubai at that time had 135 countries on the free list. You could just walk into Dubai. So I said, if they are not, people from those 135 countries are not bombing Dubai, I'm sure they'll not bomb Pakistan either. So, but I was unable to do that. We did make some headway, but the visa situation is not. I think Pakistan just need to abolish visas and have a visa on entry or something. Today's technology allows you to do that and also monitor people that you really want to monitor. It's not difficult. We're not able to do that. My other ambition was Pakistan is the only country in the world that licenses automatic weapons for private citizens. Even I failed there also. I had opposition within the cabinet because of the tribal system, and they said, you're going to leave us. And I said, all that, we just take the automatic mechanism away. And so both these, visa definitely needs a lot of improvement.
I just look to the member of the glasses there.
Thank you very much for coming. I just have a question about something you said earlier about moral authority. I mean, it's a fairly funny phrase considering your history in which you boast about your relationship with Nawaz Sharif. You boast about your relationship with the military. Your father was a retired Air Force officer and key member of General Zia's dictatorship regime. So I could keep going. So with all of these, and now you've claimed to be bringing a new political party to represent Pakistan, which, let's be honest, no one gets anywhere in politics without the support of the military and the establishment. So with all of this, how can you claim that you have moral authority? How can we as Pakistanis trust you when our system is so inherently broken and biased towards the military and the establishment, when you have entangled yourself with the establishment for many, many years like you boast?
Yeah, thank you. I can always claim one thing, that I'm probably one of the few politicians in the country who's never dealt with the military or the intelligence agencies. And it's not something to be proud of, but I think it's something that's given me strength over the years. My father was an Air Force officer, one of the few people who built the Pakistan Air Force up. He flew combat, he left the Air Force at a very young age. He did business. As I said, General Zia was a personal friend, but he never joined General Zia. He waited till the elections came, and he contested against General Zia's information minister and defeated him. So there was no favors given, political either, by General Zia. Nawaz Sharif was a political leader. I joined his party. I was elected independent in 1988. And at that time, I met Benazir Bhutto, and I promised her that if she needed one vote to attain majority, I would cast that vote for her. But she had a majority, so I cast the vote against her because that was the demand of my constituency. So Nawaz Sharif has been, is still, hopefully, a friend, but I don't agree with his politics. And we pursued our politics. It was a two-party system at that time, Benazir and Nawaz Sharif, and they alternated. I was in opposition to General Musharraf. I spent 2 years in jail. I was defeated in the elections by the intelligence agencies. And again in 2018, I was defeated by General Bajwa's intelligence agencies. So I can, on full whatever personal authority I have, that I stayed away from indulging in something that is morally not acceptable to me. So I do not claim moral authority as such, but it's something internal to you, and I think I am satisfied that I have been a Democrat my whole life.
We'll have time for one final question, and I look to...
Thank you very much for coming. It's a privilege to host you here. My question relates more to the constitutional framework of Pakistan. I think I want to hear your opinion on this. I think a lot of the issues we have are related to the 18th Amendment, which meant that you have a lot of powers devolved at the provincial level. And given it's a very country with like a lot of division, it means that a lot of the times certain parties have monopolized certain provinces, which has resulted in like inequality within Pakistan. And I think that's a huge bottleneck for growth across the country in the future. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, the 18th Amendment is has become fairly controversial. And I think there's a misunderstanding there. Number one, the 18th Amendment devolved the federal government's power to the provinces. The provinces, unfortunately, have not been able to devolve those powers to the local level, to the division of the district level. And that's where the problem is. So we went from a centralized authority to a lesser centralized, but still a very strong central authority. So the answer is to devolve the authority in the provinces down to the local level. Local governments are part of our constitution. That has not happened in Pakistan. There can always be a debate on new provinces in the country. We have both sides of that view. It's popular in some places, it's unpopular in other places. But I think we can reach a national consensus on that. The real issue is on the distribution of the funds. The 18th Amendment protected the percentage of the federal divisible pool, which they call it, the funds, the collected taxes collected by the federal government. They protected it at a certain level, or the percentage of those funds going to the provinces on a per capita basis. That is the bone of contention today. That's, I think what the failure was that while we devolved the resources and authority to the provincial governments, we did not devolve the responsibility to them. So, like for example, power and gas today should have been their responsibility. That's your biggest loss in the federal government. So, it's a question of implementing the 18th Amendment in the true spirit rather than, blaming it as such. Because it was a consensus amendment.
Thank you so much. I just have one final question, which is asked to all of our speakers who come to the Oxford Union. If you had one piece of advice for the members here in the chamber today or those watching online, what would that one piece of advice be?
Well, you're getting probably one of the highest educations in the world. So you will definitely succeed. So my advice on a personal level would be don't pursue money. The money will come to you. So if you want to become part of the rat race, that's your decision. But I think it's a much higher quality of life. If you must pursue excellence, but don't pursue the money. Money will come to you. Your excellence will give it to you.
Thank you so much. Can we have a round of applause for... Thank you all very much for joining us here for this event. If you could just remain in your seats until myself and the Prime Minister have left the chamber. Thank you all very much. Can we have another round of applause?